Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Hollow Drift. The welcome is about the only thing that's warm. It is windy, it is cold, which can only mean one thing. It is Wednesday, BUCS Super Rugby. Alex Key's league leaders Durham against 8th place Cardiff, desperate to get anything on the board and capture that final playoff place. Great news, the Wanderer returns back from the Winter Olympics. Burnsy, we've missed you. Good to see you, and good to see that coat.
Back from the Winter Olympics and into Winter Olympic conditions, you can always count on Hollow Drift to be a blustery one and usually a pretty decent game, especially when we get to this stage of the season, when titles are on the line, when they can be won, where they can be lost. We've seen some drama here in years gone by, and I'm not betting against Cardiff providing some of that tonight.
Well, we had a big, well, I'm not going to say a shock last week because Swansea would string me up, but Cardiff Met were undefeated at King Coyd until Swansea turned up in the storm and took the victory. The first time they've been defeated there, of course, Durham picked up the draw there with the first game of the season, but it is a completely different situation here at Hollow Drift. 7 games, 7 victories. Looking at the surface, it's going to play right into Durham's hands, but Cardiff will have taken a lot of encouragement, and they're not going to turn up here to make up the numbers this evening.
Well, I watched the game last week against Hartpury that they had here, and I felt for the referee's calves because of how boggy the pitch was. It's leaden out there, and it's going to sap the energy out of both of the players, but it's not too dissimilar to the conditions where Cardiff pushed Durham so closely earlier on in the season. Now, Durham have won every game apart from one narrow loss to Exeter. They drew with Cardiff Met, but the team that ran them closest otherwise is Cardiff by 3 points. So Cardiff found a way to really press them in similar conditions. I'm expecting them to do so tonight because I think that Cardiff are due a big scalp.
Yeah, well, they got that victory away at Leeds Beckett, and that was at a time where Beckett were actually going pretty well. They flew out of the blocks, they scored 60 points early in the season, and I remember having a conversation with you and we were thinking, oh crikey, maybe this is the year where Beckett kick on. It hasn't gone that way, but for Cardiff to travel to Leeds and score 35 points, as well as getting that victory at Llanrumney against Hartpury, it is evidence that there is some quality there. Of course, at the Arms Park, on the big stage in front of the cameras, they had those 2 narrow defeats, but there are players in this Cardiff team who have really stood up to be noticed. I want to talk about the halfback pairing, Di Jones and Ed Dunford. Ed Dunford is a magic maker, and when he came from the schools game, everyone was very excited to see him in BSR. Di Jones has been completely different. He's earned his right. He started in the second team. He went to the Arms Park against Cardiff Met, scored 2 brilliant tries, and they're going to look to cause absolute chaos. A little bit of a different kind of chaos against Durham today because you can't take him on up front, so why not take him on in the halfbacks instead?
Well, you say take him on the halfbacks. His opposite number is Harry Craven, who is the beating heart of this Durham side. He actually really kind of instigated the win against Cardiff by sparking them with the first half try, and he is a live wire. Honestly, any quick tap, if Cardiff are caught napping, he's going to go and he's going to punish them. In fact, Cardiff got caught napping a couple of times, and that was what resulted in the tries, but also kicks as well. The kicking of Patrick Bishop was the difference. So both kickers have got to be on their mark if they want to try and win tonight.
Yeah, and conditional kicking is massive as well, and it is so blustery, as you can tell by Joe's beautiful mane blowing in the wind. But
mate, it's hold on to your toupee conditions, isn't it?
There's not enough hairspray in the world. But last week it was all about Gwyn Parks against Brad Roderick Evans, and Brad Roderick Evans was looking to score 200 points in the league but didn't get it right. Gwyn Parks did. So if you can get on top of these conditions today, kick for territory. I'm trying to work out which way the wind is blowing because it is absolutely all over the place, but of course we're going to wear a ball in a minute as well. It's going to have a huge part to play, this wind. I want to talk spines of the team though, because Cardiff are welcoming some players back. They've got some new players with the opportunity, but looking at Durham's team, Paul Brown on the right wing, the halfbacks Craven and Bishop, then Fred Davis, Bristol Bears bound Fred Davis, and Jack Hill at number 8. The spine of that team have started every round, and when you've got teams disrupted by injuries, by international call-ups, to have those players in those key positions starting every week, being able to build around that kind of quality, that is massive, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, for people who watch the league regularly, and for newcomers as well, who I'm sure have been attracted by the positive press that was in the Times newspaper, the BBC in the last week, it's a brutal league. It is absolutely brutal league, and boys are putting it on the line week in, week out. So to have that consistency is actually pretty rare across the league. They've also got, Maren Hoos as well in the second row, who I think it might have, some big things around the corner. Such an excellent player, 4th year, and that sort of experience really, really counts, especially when you come to the crunch moments in the league, because Durham, of course, have won the league. They're the last winners of this league, so there's going to be a lot of experiential championship feel amongst the ranks.
Looking to go back to back, of course. If you're only just tuning in, then you missed Durham lifting the Women's National League earlier. They were victorious against Edinburgh in a great game. That'll be available to watch on demand. Going back to back in this league for Durham would be absolutely massive. You mentioned Marin there. It would be remiss of us not to talk about his housemate, Fred Davis, signing for Bristol Bears. He'll be joining up with Fitz Harding, who of course did a great job here at Durham. Just another massive moment for BSR, and really exciting for Fred.
Huge moment for BSR. I mean, the guy scored 20 tries this season, so he's broken the try scoring record in BUCS Super Rugby history. I think, is he the all-time now?
Yep.
Or is he still got to chase down Tom Doughty, another hooker who came out of BSR playing for Bath, and he's now just in a long list of success stories. You got the Six Nations coming up this weekend. All nations, I think, apart from Ireland are represented
actually
in BSR. You've got Thibaut Flamand playing for France. You've got Sam Skinner for Scotland, Alex Donbrand, Aaron Wainwright. The list is kind of getting a little bit endless. So this really is the place to see emerging talent from rugby union around these ages.
Well, I think you and I should try and seek some refuge in the dry. We'll be calling the match from somewhere a little bit less windy, but I caught up with a couple of guys before kick-off. In the absence of Alan Flower, Marcus Ramage, who is back in the side, took on the pre-match interviews, as did Alex Kay. Well, Marcus, first things first, welcome back. It feels like it's been a long time coming, but you're back out there in the starting jersey. You must feel pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited actually. Really excited to get a full game, hopefully under the belt.
Heck of an away journey to start with, though, and this team you've brought up here doesn't seem like a long way, maybe one victory away from really making an impression on this league.
Yeah, no, I know. I think I did the stats for the boys the other day in a team meeting, and I think we've had 8 games within 5 points, and it's been 1 win, 1 draw, and the rest unfortunately a loss. So we really are that close to getting a big win.
How difficult has it been, given those defeats, then, to keep spirits high and realise that there is a lot to play for?
Yeah, to be honest, the boys are a real positive bunch, so it's just about kicking on to the next game. You know, the league is a horrible schedule, so it's just taking each game one at a time, really.
And with your return and a few more key players coming back, a bit of momentum and the playoffs still to come, maybe this could be a memorable season after all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously we're playing Durham, top of the league, so we've got all to play for today, and hopefully we can get a massive win there.
Tell us what to expect from your team today then. A few of you have had to take senior responsibility with Alan being absent. Does that make it a little bit more important and your individual roles really coming to the fore?
A little bit. Obviously the work done by the coaching team is normally midweek and then, during the weekend, and then we come out here and on match day, and it's sort of down to the players anyway. We take an individual responsibility over the game. So, but looking to the game, looking to kick probably a fair bit. You know, it's windy. Durham have obviously got a strong pack and a strong set piece, so they'll be looking to be in our half, sending their dominant ball carriers, so we'll try and just send it back.
Well, you talked about the technicalities there, and the wind has died down for a second, but the conditions here are a challenge. Do you think that'll affect the way you play? Because anyone who's watched the games this season, particularly against Cardiff Met in front of the cameras, you've really taken it to the top teams.
Yeah, you just got to play it as it is, really. Every game's different, and I think the wind changes every 30 seconds here, so I think the first half and second half could be very different game plans.
And in terms of the league itself, maybe a bonus point, maybe a victory today to take yourself away from Leeds Beckett. Still that Leeds Beckett game to come as well. In fact, for those that don't follow the league, tell us exactly what happened against Beckett last week, because that was a little bit of weather-induced chaos.
Yeah, so both teams were kitted up, taped up, and we were on the pitch in our individual warm-ups, and then the stadium manager came over and said that the game was off because I think the shutters were blowing off the lights. So yeah, he called it off when everyone was ready to go.
Well, very much looking forward to that, but very much looking forward to this one as well. Go well tonight. Good
Brilliant.
luck.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thank you. Ramage, Cardiff Uni, 13 or 14.
So, Alan Flowers, I'm head of rugby at Cardiff University.
I think we started off really well. We beat Hartbury. I don't think anyone expected that, and that's one of the good things about this league. Anybody can beat anybody, and it's just mental. I think we definitely think we could have pushed a bit more. There was a lot of games that were left really close. We definitely feel we could have pushed higher up the table. We weren't going to go from just getting promoted to top of the league or anything, but I think we were aiming halfway that year. So definitely improvement this year.
Pleased with the position? No. But being a realist, it was probably where we were. A big transition, yeah, that was for us. Because when we came in, we were quite new to Super Rugby. When we came in, we was on the back end of a good cycle. We had the spine of the team were older players. So the 20 season, it's pretty much just freshers, first year students. So it was always going to be a tough season. So happy that we survived, if I'm honest with that one. That's huge. It's huge. For us, the academic side is the key, is making sure they graduate with the best honours degree they can, but running the pathway alongside that and giving them the springboard to push on to pro contracts. That's what the programme is all about, is developing them and working with the clubs to show that these players have got the capacity and the mindset to be a professional player. Enjoyment, accountability, and supplies.
League leaders, but it is tight at the top with a few rounds to go. How are you feeling?
I think we've been here before, so we're kind of like just taking it as it comes. Each game as it's come. We've tried to do that for probably the last 6 games, so it's just another long one on the journey. It's a dangerous game because Cardiff are a good side. Respect the way they run their show, so it's going to be a tough game for us.
I think anyone can see that this is a formidable place to come. You're undefeated here, but I thought what was most interesting is the fact that in a league where tries are scored willy-nilly, you've not conceded a try bonus point here this season. How proud are you of the way the team's defended?
I don't know, you're ahead of me on stats again. Yeah, you have to defend well, don't you? It's the starting point of anything, of any team sport, I think. And as much as you want to score tries, we can score tries. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you keep it side to 10 and you can score 20, well, why wouldn't you? And we're quite proud of the fact we're hard to score against, or like to think we are.
Speaking of being proud, obviously there's the news recently that Fred Davis is off to Bristol Bears. It'll be an awfully long tunnel from Hollowdrift to Bristol, but the fact that you've got players going on not just at Falcons but at Bristol Bears as well, it's just proof that you're doing a great job here, the league are doing a great job, and there's chances for boys to kick on.
I think absolutely. I think BSR's become a real good grounding for a lot of guys now. It gives 18 to 21 plus guys regular decent rugby every week. It gives them a lot of other things which I've kind of half talked about before, about the whole buy-in, about being part of a team, being part of that. From Fred's point of view, absolutely delighted. I can't think of anyone who deserves it more. He's been absolutely outstanding as a captain, and but as a player, he's a magnificent player. And it's not ironic that his old club, where he left as an academy, were pretty upset that they didn't pick him up this time round. So that's great, and I'm really pleased. Jamie Adamson with England Sevens, all this it's good for the league, it's good for us, so it just works. Yeah.
What about the rest of the boys as well? You've got a great spine here, players who've started every round of BSR, but also still opportunities for players to come and make an impression.
Yeah, you have to have a squad, don't you? You can't play this without a decent squad, and we're really good. We talked a lot about trust, and we talked if the guys all believe in each other, then that makes life a lot easier, and that's what we've kind of work on. I don't think we're necessarily the most gifted team here, but I do think we work hard.
Good luck today. Go well.
Cheers, Dan.
Thanks for having a chat.
Fred Davies, Durham University, and I play hooker.
Syke Ali, I am the performance rugby coach from the University of Durham.
we had a really great start, so it sort of put us in that top sort of 2-3 contention for the whole time, and it was one of them where you didn't really realise. So I think we've gone 7 games unbeaten, and then I'm sitting at a review meeting maybe on a Monday going, well, we could have a go here. You know, it's we could be in a good place, and then it was just taken game by game. As cliche it is, it's the season, and the rugby is that brutal around the country that it has to be.
Big crowds, pressure events, high quality games. It's such a great grounding for an entry into high level rugby, whether that be Premiership, Championship, or whatever
That you play in. I think uni rugby's, to say it again, is very unique by comparison to professional sport and school. I think it's as close as you can get to professional sport without it being there.
I'll go honesty, intensity, and fun.
Big games, high pressure events, and fun. You heard it right there in the VT. If you're new here, welcome to BUCS Super Rugby. It's not going to be your last time. And if you're one of the regulars, well, you know what's good for you on a Wednesday night. Quality student rugby fare brought to your plate. And it doesn't get much bigger than a title chasing Durham against Cardiff, who you heard from their captain right there, are pregnant for a big scalp. Durham have Exeter chasing so hard, no slip-ups will be permitted in their hunt for a second successive title, while Cardiff have their eyes set on making the playoffs, where all roads lead to Six Ways in Worcester. So starting with the home side, well, there's tries aplenty littered across that side. You heard from the man on the VT, you heard us talk him up in the pre-show. Freddie Davies is a man with a snout for the paint. 20 tries this season, but he's not the only one getting in on the act. Max Pepper in the 11 jersey, well, he scored 3 tries this season, and the bad news for Cardiff is that they all came here last week in the same game against the much vaunted Hartpury. So he comes in fine form, while there is a host of other talented players in there to pick from. Harry Craven, the beating heart of the Durham backline, ready to release Patrick Bishop, who has the powerful running of Jack Reed to call upon, and Ollie Walker, who is something of a hidden gem, but Alex Key believes could well be the real deal. And what about this Cardiff side? They welcome back their captain Marcus Ramage to the 13 jersey. 15, 14, 11. It doesn't matter what number he plays. He always has something to say with ball in hand. Di Jones is a fabulous counter to the sparky Harry Craven. He'll be sniping and bossing from the base. While in the pack, Ben Roberts in the 5 jersey was a true thorn in the line-out throwing of Freddie Davies' side when these two met at Clanrumney earlier in the season. For that match, he hadn't started a game this season for Cardiff. Since then, he's been ever present. But as we all know, rugby isn't about 15 men these days, it's about the whole 23, and there's plenty to choose from. For the visitors, Cam Scott had a significant impact and packed plenty of midfield punch when these two met earlier in the season back in November, while Nick Jonas, wearing 23 from Durham, is fast, elusive, loves broken field running, and will pose a true threat when he comes on later in the game to try and expose some tired legs from what is a boggy old turf here at Hollowdrift. So they're the 46 men who'll be throwing down this evening, and right below our prime piece of commentary real estate, the Palatinate faithful are beginning to amass to line a tunnel for both sides to come out. Cardiff will be coming out to slightly more hostile cheers than the applause for the hometown heroes. They'll be wearing their traditional Palatinate purple and Cardiff in red. We await Dave Rogers.
Yes, we do. And as you can see from the camera lens, you and I got out of the open air just in time, because to join the wind, the rain has arrived. Counting down to kick-off here. Massive game, huge chance for Cardiff, led out by Ramage as he returns. But a victory here for Durham, and they are so close to going back-to-back.
So close. There, the captain, Marcus Ramage, hugely influential player, as is his twin brother in the 7 jersey, Greg Ramage. It was a true battle of the back rows out there last time. 6 vultures out there feasting on any opportunity to jackal, as the elevation of noise and the sighting of Freddie Davies in the number 2 jersey tells you that Durham are rolling out in their iconic Palatinate jerseys. More on the story of that later on, but he has a huge role to play, the captain. A big future awaits for him with Bristol Bears. The unfinished business with Exeter chasing so hard at the Durham tail at the top.
3 rounds to go, 1 point in it. We talk about the importance of victories, but the importance of tries is absolutely massive. Nobody has come here and got a bonus point this year. Can Cardiff be the first?
Well, Nikki O'Donnell is the woman pursing her lips in the middle. She's not unfamiliar with big games. She was last seen probably on your screens for the big game at Twickenham when Wasps took on Harlequins. And she'll be a match for any indiscretions out here this evening on the turf of Hollow Drift. So Durham, the first opportunity to attack with ball in hand, looking to carry heavily first and surely box clear, and it'll be a testing night under these windy conditions.
Yeah, the wind favouring Durham in this first half. Well, it's swirling around, but certainly feels like it's blowing towards us.
Well, there's your first sighting of a skewed kick from Harry Craven, but it presents us with the first opportunity to see the set piece, which in terms of the line out could be a troublesome area. Cardiff with the throw, plenty of options, walking in slowly as is their customary way, finding their man and launching through the midfield. Jones looking for his forward, keeping it tight. First carry from Greg Ramage. Jones, bit of width, but good tackle. Good defence from Durham. And again, Ben Roberts met by a 3-man welcoming committee. Into the backfield and a chance to counter, and we're going to see the speed of Harry Craven. He's escaped the clutches of all the Cardiff defenders until desperate defence drags him down across the touchline.
Well, it was good thinking there from Dunford, and Ramage straight back into the team, showing that he hasn't lost a yard of pace there on the chase. But Harry Craven, look how well he's done here. It was a good chase there by Pello Catlane. And then in the end, he got dragged down into touch. It was the hooker, Ben Chapman, who chased him down, but that's a great net gain from Durham.
Well, an indication of just how fast Harry Craven is that Pello Catlane, who he just rounded, has played for South Africa Sevens out on the World Series. So he's not a man shy of a yard. But we won't get to see him in action in attack just yet. A penalty to Cardiff and a chance to advance up the field via the boot.
Yeah, important night for someone like Ed Dunford tonight as well. And just as I say that, he's mistouched with the swirling wind, but he's got the ability to really control the game, and he's got that X factor as well, and he's got another opportunity here.
Well, Elliot Hayden, who's also filled the 10 jersey this season, it's been an unsettled number for Cardiff. the honours shared between Hayden, Finney and Dunford. But Hayden in his preferred position of fullback this evening, looking to counter. And again, just this swarming Durham defence forcing Cardiff onto the boot. A good territorial gain, a good chance for Ben Roberts to challenge the throw of Freddie Davies on the Durham 22.
Yeah, smart from Patrick Bishop there as well. Saw that the ball was bobbling into touch, didn't take any chances and just watched it and thought, you know what, I'll leave the forward secure the ball. Should have the opportunity for a good clearance as well.
Well, the wind creating trouble on the throw. It was Joe Murphy on the stretch in the pink headguard. Knocked on. And the first scrum of the match.
Well, again, this is an interesting face-off as well, with settled front rows really. Matt Woodward and Fred Davis, two players in the front row for Durham who've started every round. Monty Royston has started the last 7 as well. But Connor Wood and Freddie Barnes, they're the first choice prop forwards for Cardiff. Ben Chapman in for Cam Lewis as well, but he's played plenty of rugby in the front row. And Di Jones, what a platform he's got.
An early reset. So both sets of front rows fluff their lines. We'll go again. This is a big area, I feel, this evening. Durham very much the dominant pack when these two met earlier in the season, and Durham really famed within the league for their power, their size among their front 8. Well, a squandered opportunity from Cardiff, the penalty going to Durham. We'll have to wait a little to see a genuine face-off between both packs. But an easy let-off early in the game for Durham. Meaty enough clearance in the conditions. I would love to tell you what way the wind is blowing here, but it's blown a myriad of directions since we've arrived. It's so difficult to tell who's got the wind in their favour.
Well, at the start of the game it was blowing directly towards us. Now it feels like it's blowing directly to the left of us, so to the right of where Durham have kicked, and that midfield clearance there gives us the same idea, as does the ball flight from that one from Elliot Hayden.
Well, both sides eager to test the reception abilities of the various fullbacks. That's a very, very nice kick.
Oh, I tell you what, it's a gamble taking on the touchline like that in this wind, though. It's worked out well there. Felix Gilbert's eyes lit up for a second when he thought it was going out on the full, but Durham just winning that territorial battle, and now it's up to Cardiff to try and clear their lines.
So the Cardiff line out, pure for their first one, and once again similar attacking structure, narrow through the 10 channel, but muscular defence coming in from Paul Brown, who spots the opportunity to smash someone from his right wing. Cardiff flood round the left hand corner, looking to build some momentum. Well, a Southwest Caterpillar, Cardiff style, and a tester for Brown, deals with it easily, puts the footwork on and skips round the next defender. Like to see him in a bit more open space as Durham attack the left flank. This is where they released Pepper last week for the first of his 2 tries. He does get round the defender up to the 22. Durham with momentum in the hands of their captain Davies. Considered play, dropped on the toe, and well spotted, well cleared by Hayden.
Oh, right on the line as well. That looked to kiss the chalk on the way through, but the AR's giving him the benefit of the doubt. Not sure the kick was the right option there, you know. I think there were numbers and certainly phases to be gone through for Durham.
Well, we're yet to see Durham go through multiple phases, and we saw them explore the left flank to pretty good effect there, and you would have liked to have maybe seen them string a few more phases together, just stretch the integrity.
That's the second time the Durham line-out's wobbled.
And that is one of the most unusual charge downs I think you'll see. Close range, diving at his feet, and it results in a scrum to Cardiff. So we'll get to see that forward face-off.
To be fair, Ben Chapman, the hooker, trying to kick in midfield. He got away with one there. But yeah, a couple of wobbles on the Durham line-out. That's not what we're used to seeing. It's interesting on the scrum here. Nobody on the blind side for Cardiff. You've got the left winger, Felix Gilbert, who's just stood in between where Ed Dunford will be and where the ball comes from Di Jones.
Well, Cardiff have gone narrow. Both opportunities off the set piece so far. We'll see what Dunford decides to do. Drops it on the boot and pumps one long up the middle. But it's going to be too much on that, and all the way back play will come to the ironic but gleeful cheers of the Durham supporters here in Hollowdrift. It's a little bit more sparsely populated than it usually is on a big game.
Yeah, we've seen a very full Harding Hill throughout the season, but most of the Palatinate Blazed faithful are over there seeking the refuge in the small stand here at Hollowdrift. There they are.
So you've heard the word Palatinate a few times, and that of course refers to the historic colour of Durham University. It's a colour associated with the region, dating back to the early 1800s, to the bishops of Durham, and appropriated by the university, and now utterly synonymous with the famous institution. So call the Durham colour purple at your peril. It is Palatinate to the true bloods. As they pump their way forward, the Cardiff scrum creaking, and advantage being played. And it's real yin and yang early in this match on the set piece. Cardiff on top in the skies, but Durham showing their might in the scrum.
Nice bit of gamesmanship from Ed Dunford as he walks away there as well. Knew the penalty had been given, just rolled it towards the try line to give his team a little bit of chance to fill the lungs, because they really got piled into at the set scrum there. Oh, and that is a dreadful kick. That's genuinely one of the worst I've ever seen in my life.
We're not going to attribute it to the wind?
No, he's just kicked it out on the full. Not just missed the touchline, but he's kicked it straight over the dead ball line.
I think that's the face of a man who knows that he's made a mistake. Not one for the highlight reel, Patrick, but sadly for you, it'll be forever immortalised on the BUCS Super Rugby stream and YouTube channel.
You're quite right too. The good thing about the internet is it lasts forever.
Well, I was bigging his boot up before the game because it was his kicks that were the difference when these two met before. Cardiff actually outscored Durham 3-2, but they didn't land their kicks, and Patrick Bishop delivered.
Well, he's the third highest scorer in the league this season, 111 points already.
Di Jones looks to get the ball out quickly, but it's been won against the head. Durham on the transition, bit of confusion as to what to do with the possession, but eventually they find the go forward through Jack Reed.
Well, maybe it was deliberate from Bishop, just to get the scrum.
Durham with unexpected opportunity on the outskirts of the Cardiff 22. They look to flash left. There are numbers if they can find the pass, but a crunching hit halts them in the midfield. Advantage again being played. Discipline becoming a problem for Cardiff in their half.
The jackal is fine, 2 must roll first.
And again, Durham kicking the ball away. I know that they've had the penalty advantage, but yet to see them really build the pressure and stress the defence and then find the time to strike. Bit of aimless kicking.
Yeah, are we going to have a shot at the posts here? Certainly kickable, bang in front of the sticks, even with this wind, and yeah, they are going to put the tee down. It seems to be a big part of the game at the moment, isn't it? You just think you get the penalty advantage, you get so many phases to go through, but very often players looking for that miraculous kick. I mean, when it comes off, it's highlights real stuff. Durham's boot just letting them down so far this evening.
No. 22.
Well, Bishop hasn't packed the right boots for the opening 15 minutes of this match. That one sails wide of the uprights, and we remain scoreless after 14 cagey minutes that haven't lived up to the billing that we've given BUCS Super Rugby in the build-up to this match.
No, but in the arm wrestle, Durham are just starting to tilt it in their direction, aren't they? Playing a little bit more territory, certainly winning those physical battles in the midfield. The one-up carries for Cardiff just aren't working at the moment. They're losing out to those massive tackles that Durham continue to put in the midfield, and that's going to have to change.
Well, Durham will have to strike from their own half if they're going to get an opportunity, and they do so with some beautiful hands down the left flank. But it slips forward from the offload. Boos ring round, hollow drift. Not entirely impartial views.
But what it does mean is another scrum. And Cardiff, well, if they are on roller skates, there are still brakes on, but certainly moving backwards when they pack down at the moment.
This scrum is going to take place in arguably the most intimidating position on the field for Cardiff, right in front of the braying home support. The scrum already under pressure. They'll hear it vocally as well from the stands, and again it creaks.
Stop. Just stop, gentlemen. Stop. Anything clear and obvious on your side?
Referee doing a very good job of reminding the players who's boss at the moment. They're struggling with the hook, aren't they, Cardiff?
Well, Nicky O'Donnell drawing the scrum slightly more in field. It'll be attributed to the pitch cutting up, but maybe just to take it away from the vociferous support of the blazered Durham University supporters club there.
Yeah, a bit of sweet relief for the Cardiff Uni eardrum as much as anything.
Stay behind the ball.
This one's more stable for Cardiff. They still struggle to get the ball through the legs of the second row. They do very, very well.
Well, Greg Ramage picked that from the open side.
To eventually dig it out. Did look like Craig Ramage did. And straight onto the boot. Just dinked over the top.
Just, lads, step away, step away.
And there's been a nasty collision here.
Just, do me a favour, just put him in the recovery position.
Well, it was a 50-50 ball.
Just wait. He's unconscious.
Difficult to see what happened immediately. The ball goes up here from Di Jones, and we can just hear Nicky O'Donnell there doing a great job of calming things. But let's take a look at exactly what happened. Oh, it was a collision with the hip of Tom Kilmartin. Unintentional, but the height was dropped, and that was head on hip. And that is not a nice sight at all.
I've got he's dropped to collect the ball and the player's just slid into it. So, yeah, I don't have foul play. I'll explain that to the captains, but his health's the priority right now. Yeah. Okay.
You heard it right there
Captain.
from Nicky
Fred,
O'Donnell.
captain.
His health's the priority there. It
Lads,
looked like
captain.
he slid to his knees to
Fred.
collect the kick. It was an awkward dink,
He's going to have as long as he needs.
and then he
but just to
collided
explain,
into the hip.
We have no foul play there, okay? He's just dropped to collect the ball, and as they both come in, he's caught the hip of the player. So there's no foul play. It'll be a scrum restart. Purple are in possession, all right? But we'll give him as long as he needs, okay? If you need to keep the boys warm, get a ball on, do what you need to, and then we'll reset when he's ready, okay? Yeah. When it's in the second row, yes, not in the front row.
Yeah. So when it's come
Yeah.
to
So the same as if it was the 8 going into the second row. If it comes into your channel, yes, you can play it away. You can't reach it. You can't reach in to take it. Yeah. Yeah. So that one came into you. That's fine, but you can't reach in for it. It'll be your scrum. Yeah. No.
So a number of things going on there. Obviously, the main concern right now is Patrick Bishop and ensuring that he departs the field of play in the best condition possible. A nasty collision, an accidental collision, striking the hip of the onrushing Cardiff player. So both sets of teams encouraged to keep themselves warm, then get a ball on. I think we'll probably see William Nicholson come on. And then the other thing in there as well that you identified was Greg Ramage picking the ball up from the scrum, and Nicky O'Donnell there explaining that if the ball comes down his channel, even though he's wearing the 7 jersey, he can pick it up and he can go. However, he can't reach in to pluck the ball from the second row's legs in the same way that the number 8 can't. So a bit of clarity on that rule from the referee.
And of course, we just hope that Patrick Bishop is just in the best condition that he can be. William Nicholson coming on, probably playing a little bit more rugby than he'd be expecting to. He's going to have just over an hour. It's his 5th time on the bench. He returned to the squad last week for the first time since round 6 against Loughborough. Not started a game because, of course, Patrick Bishop has been such an integral part of this Durham title charge.
I think big credit needs to be paid here to the medical professionals as well for the job that they're going to be doing. And I think that, yeah, we've spoken at length of the growth, the development of the players and progression of the league, and it's not just the people on the pitch, it's the coaches, it's the analysts, it's the physios, it's the medical staff who are growing as well, and all these players are catered for on a personal level, on a safety level, first and foremost.
But what about the immediate reaction of Nicky O'Donnell? She saw what was happened, got rid of all the players, explained exactly what was happening, put him in the recovery position in a situation like that where he was pretty much immediately unconscious. When he started to come through, should I say, she calmed him down, explained to him what was going on. I think she's dealt with this very, very difficult situation incredibly well. And with that, the players are being sent to the changing rooms because I think we might be out here for a little while.
Well, grave concern here at Hollow Drift, and the best wishes of all in the ground, all watching, for Ed Dunford, who's down, at Patrick Bishop, I beg your pardon, who is down at the moment after a nasty looking head collision. So the players departing the field, they'll take to the changing rooms, we'll take stock, and be assured that the best help on the field is out there looking after this young man. So while we take a pause here in our match at Hollow Drift, we can look back at a big day's rugby in Durham, a double header here on the stream, and it culminated in the women's Durham University rugby outfit being crowned champions of the Women's National League. This is the moment here today where England legend Tamara Taylor handed over the trophy, and I think those pictures tell it all.
Well, it was well deserved, and the champagne corks popped. 10 games, 9 victories. Of course, they'll be looking to make it a double, Joe, when they've got the semi-final, perhaps against Edinburgh, who they beat today. And then April the 13th will be a date that is in the diary. That'll be the Women's National League and the BUCS Super Rugby final at Six Ways. But it's the same situation for a lot of these players as it is for the players in the Cardiff jerseys and the Durham jerseys today. Some of them coming towards the end of their university rugby careers. I know all the years that we've been covering BUCS Super Rugby, back when we were doing the podcast again, you've always beaten the drum about how much it means to play for your university, whether you go on to play club rugby, whether you go on to play pro, whether you bow out of the game altogether. These moments for these players mean a huge amount, maybe more than at any other time in your rugby career.
Yeah, we've got a bit of time now, and I think it's really important to explore this part of what BUCS Super Rugby is about, because there was a lot of positive press in the last couple of weeks, driven by the success of mainly Cardiff Met players, Tom Pearson, Luke Northmore and Alex Dombrand's involvement in England, and a lot of focus on the performance aspect and that pathway, and that it's an alternative route outside of academies, or if you've been overlooked by a Premiership club and things like that. And those moments right there that we just seen on the screen, for me, that is the most important part of BUCS Super Rugby, because all these men and women, young men and women, are going on a journey. They're going on a journey together. Yes, they are improving as rugby players, but they are improving as people, and they're also growing together. There is a legitimate goal, there's a fraternity, there's a sisterhood to win a trophy with the people that you only have a finite amount of time with. You don't come to university and stay as long as you do maybe a rugby club for your whole career. You don't have 10 or 15 years here. You've got 3 years, 4 years maybe, to muck in with the same group of people and achieve something great. And it's those moments that build character and build great personalities within the game. You know, you see it with your work at Quins. Alex Dombrand and Luke Northmore, they're mates for life, not because they play at Quins, it's because they went through the journey in BUCS Super Rugby together at Cardiff Met. They actually lost their final, but you see them regularly. I get to see them every now and then, and their face lights up when they talk about their time in BUCS Super Rugby.
Well, you've just dropped the Quins bomb in there, and I remember that we spent a little bit of time with the guys after they won the Premiership final, and I saw Luke Northmore, and he had his Prem winners medal around his neck because he was part of that team that lifted the trophy at Twickenham. And I saw him and I said, "That's all right, isn't it?" He said, "Well, it went better than last time I was here at Twickenham." Of course, referencing that final where they lost, but even for somebody who's been involved now with the England camp and been involved with the Premiership champions, playing alongside like genuine legends of the English game like Danny Kerr and Mike Brown and Chris Robshaw, he's still thinking about those days with, I don't know, Aled Ward and Max Llewellyn and Guards and Danny Milton and all of those boys. And to bring it back to Durham for a second, of course, there's all of the focus that's on Fitzharding, who's going great guns, making, 7,000 tackles a minute, or wherever he's doing at Bristol.
25 last weekend.
Madness, isn't it? Or Fred, who's just signed. But for every Fitzharding and Fred Davis, there's someone like Ben Fowles, who I watched him play enough BUCS Super Rugby to think he could be a Premiership or a URC number 8, but instead he's got a real job, dare I say. He's got a real job, but he's gone on a grad scheme and playing at Durham and winning BUCS Super Rugby and captaining this team may not be the end of his rugby journey, but it is the end of it for now, because he's going great guns in his chosen field. So everything you've said there about it being a fraternity, and this on a Wednesday night under the lights at Hollow Drift or at Kingston Park or at King Coyd or at Epinal Way at Loughborough, it is the be all and end all, and it means the absolute world to some of these players, who some of them are at the start of the journey, some of them are at the end. And just talking about Durham women again, they've got an absolute melting pot. I mean, Maëlle Picou, who captains the team, she's Hong Kong and French eligible. Of course, they've got a lot of girls from England, but they've got American students in there as well. They've got Swedish players too. It is just this unbelievable group that you bring together, and you've got to try and make it more than the sum of its parts and create those memories. And that's what Durham women have done today, and it's absolutely fantastic.
And they've been on a journey as a club, haven't they? It's their first time winning the national championship, or a national championship. They went to the final and suffered heartbreak against Exeter University. You and I are both there, and speaking to Cameron Henderson, who, you know, we're all wishing him the speediest of recoveries from falling ill recently. And you know, the staff that have gone on that journey and they've felt a bit of heartbreak and they've grown as people, and now look at them, they've won 9 out of 10 this season. And do you know what was really refreshing for those interviews? The confidence of going into the playoffs. And usually you get a lot of, I'm not saying they were immodest, but you get a lot of players stepping back from the expectation of going to win, because let's make no bones about it, they've won 9 out of 10 games. They've won the league. They are the favourites, and their attitude in the interviews was bring it on.
Yeah, wear that badge,
and I love that.
Yeah,
love that.
Wear that badge, and that's my you're talking about. Let's bring it to Edinburgh for a second. And you spoke to their captain afterwards, and what I loved about it is, even though they were second place on the day. I always say second place because, again, I'm giving one of those media copybook answers. But they were so optimistic about the future of their programme as well. And I'm really pleased that you mentioned that final that we were at Twickenham, because just off the top of my head, thinking about pathway, Sophie Shams played today. She scored that incredible try at Twickenham, but she's gone on to represent Saracens. Beth Blacklock,
England Sevens
as well, yeah. Beth Blacklock, she captained that Durham team. She's signed for Harlequins this year after a decent stint with DMP Sharks. She's missing through injury at the moment, but she's with the champions. Langi Chuima was playing for Exeter and now
kicked all the winning points in the Premier 15s final for Harlequins.
Exactly. And you know,
I've got a stat for you.
Please,
actually. I've got a stat for you. That Langi Chuima had only ever kicked one professional penalty before the Premier 15s final.
Yeah.
She'd kicked one for Quins, and I think, well, obviously she'd kicked for Exeter in BUCS Super Rugby. So before the Premier 15s final, she only kicked one professionally, and then I think she kicked 5, didn't she, in the final?
I've heard a rumour, and I couldn't possibly confirm or deny where it came from, or even if it's true, but when she kicked that monster in the final, it was when Quins had 2 in the bin, and they were like, oh, she's probably not going to get this, but it's going to take a minute off the clock. And lo and behold, she's drained it, and that's been, well, essentially that was the difference maker. And Quins lifted the trophy for the first time. If you're just tuning in and you're wondering why there's no rugby happening at the moment, it's because there's been a collision between the hip of Tom Kilmartin, the Cardiff Inside Centre, and Patrick Bishop, and he's down receiving the best medical attention at the moment. The players have been told that there might be quite a long delay, so they've gone back into the changing room. Of course, we wish Patrick, well, we hope it's not too serious, but there are players out there. He was out cold, and fingers crossed everything is as hunky-dory as it can be, and we are back playing. We're about 20 minutes into the game. It is still Cardiff University 0, Durham, the league leaders 0, and it's been a bit of an arm wrestle. I mean, Durham have won the collisions, Cardiff have tried to kick it clear. We've had some absolutely dreadful efforts. Ed Dunford's kicked one out the back. I mean, Patrick Bishop, I feel bad speaking ill of him, but that was still a pretty awful effort that he kicked directly dead from the penalty. It's not been the classic that we thought it may be.
It hasn't so far, and you know, does it speak volumes about what's at stake at the moment? To paint the title picture for viewers at home who aren't as au fait with the league as we are, or who are just tuning in, that Durham at the moment sit 1 point above Exeter. Durham are top of the league, Exeter are second. Exeter are playing their varsity match at Sandy Park against Loughborough, who are in third place this evening. And really, it's a blinking match.
Yeah.
You know, Durham can't really afford to drop any points because Exeter are hot on their heels. They've been asked by Durham's performances this season to go out and continue to get 5 match points. And they are doing it at the moment. And you might look at the table, you might look at Durham's run-in. If they are to successfully negotiate this Cardiff match, they've got Leeds Beckett, who haven't had a brilliant season, and then they end with Northumbria, who are bottom of the league. But we can tell you from experience that those final 2 games can go any way, irrespective of who you're playing. In fact, in a perverse bit of poetic symmetry, a few years ago, when Northumbria looked fixed to win the league, they had to come to Hollow's Drift. When Durham were underperforming, they had to go to Leeds Beckett, and they didn't win a championship. So nothing is home and hosed. But we've got a bit of movement and hopefully some good news as we're seeing the stretcher loaded up and coming from the field straight off for even more medical attention. All of our thoughts and everyone in the ground, certainly with the stricken young man. So we will have to wait some time before we have the full picture of when the game will resume. The players will have to warm up, but first and foremost, all the concerns, all the thoughts with that young man right there being stretchered from the field.
Well, while we wait for the news on when the play will resume here, let's look forward to the final. It's at 6 ways. It's the doubleheader of the Women's National League and the BUCS Super Rugby final on the 13th of April.
So for those of you just joining us, play looks set to resume. It was suspended due to a nasty injury to Patrick Bishop. He was receiving medical attention on the field for quite a while, and the players were in fact sent back into the changing rooms. They've been back out, they've warmed themselves up, and Patrick Bishop has been stretchered from the field with plenty of concern, but surrounded by medical professionals, and all of our thoughts, all of our hopes are with him, and that it is not too serious and that he's going to be making a full and speedy recovery. So the players have now warmed up, they're back on the pitch, but I think we're missing a referee, and a referee who dealt with that situation supremely well, Nikki O'Donnell.
Yeah, she certainly did. And she was, well, she's had a great sort of 20 minutes or so far. Of course, she dealt with that well, but before that, she'd been explaining to the forwards exactly what she expected from them at scrum time, and then there was that incident where Greg Ramage took it on the open side channel. She told him that he was allowed to do that, and she is in full control of this match. And fingers crossed, she's just been doing the extra checks on Pat Bishop to make sure that he is in the best hands that he can be in. But we are set to continue. And it'll be interesting to see how the players react to this, Joe, particularly Tom Kilmartin.
Yeah, psychologically very tough situation. Tom Kilmartin, the player who was involved in the collision, completely unintentional, completely accidental, so no apportioning of blame heading his way, but still a nasty incident to be involved in. And for Durham as well, you know, to see their string puller, one of their main guys, go down with a sickening injury, it's something that they're going to have to overcome. I know that Captain Fred is a fantastic speaker. In fact, Alex Key before the game was remarking on his wisdom as a man, as a person, as a communicator, and really he said he never worked with a player who's spoken like him. So if there's a man to level the heads of the players in an emotional situation, it's him, and he will be sticking his head in first with this scrum where we resume play. And straight down, and a penalty awarded immediately.
Well, big decision to be made here, because this is kickable for somebody like Ed Dunford. He's up over 80% for the season. Congratulations all around for the front row. They're crediting that one to Connor Wood on the loosehead side. The wind's still swirling around, the rain getting a bit heavier as well. These are torrid conditions.
Yeah, they really are. Can't really pick it up on our cameras, but it's sheets of rain coming pouring in, and then if you catch it in the right light of the floodlights, it's swirling around, multi-directional. So you can only imagine what it's like to kick, pass and play in. We're getting a little shot there coming in. You can see our lens,
and that just about sums it up. You can see it swirl, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. So a challenging kick, but an important one here for Ed Dunford. An opportunity for Cardiff to get on the board, and in doing so, register our first points of the game. Well, a good effort, but ultimately unsuccessful. And Durham revert to type by kicking it long down the field and inviting James Roberts to return to the 10-metre. Awkward kick off the side of the boot, and not many metres gained, but pressure on the Durham line-out, which has not functioned particularly well in the opening quarter. It happened down in Clanrumney. The big tower, Ben Roberts, proving a menace in the skies for the throwing of Fred Davis. They'll be tested again right here. Well, very nice stuff. They competed at the front, but it went to the fourth jumper. And with the absence of red jerseys, Durham drive forward to the 10-metre line. It's initially halted, another little splutter and a splurge, and here come Durham attacking. Ball inside, they're in behind the red jerseys. If they can sling it left with quick hands, it's gonna be on. They bust through the middle, important tackle from Ed Dunford. And a bit of spoiling work as well in the aftermath. The challenge is coming raining in now. Plenty of aggression in the contact from both sides. Davies with the cute hands. It's an opportunity, but the pass just not going to hand. Paul Brown, wow, he would have loved that space, loved that freedom. It doesn't come to fruition, but we are back for a penalty.
Well, they've spread the ball out there to the right-hand side, but it's the left where they've blown, I'm not going to say blown 3 opportunities, but had 3 opportunities in this first 20 minutes. And it's just needed 1 pass more to create the space on the outside. They've got Max Pepper there, who's got fuel in his boots off the back of a hat-trick. He's desperate to try and get round the outside, but they've thrown a dummy and gone through the middle. Cardiff have defended it well, but this is the first real question that they're going to have to answer.
This is the most promising attacking position that Durham have enjoyed all evening. The captain will have to hit his man. The jumper stretches and Durham just about come away with possession. Clamped down, but the tackler not rolling away. Looked like it was a turnover. This breakdown, fiercely competitive.
That'll be so annoying for George Shaw, the second rower, because it looked like his turnover was good. But frustrating for Cardiff because after Durham fluffed their lines, they've got another opportunity in an even better position.
Oh, fabulous work by Ben Roberts. He continues to plague the Davis throw. And that big right paw coming at a crucial moment. Cardiff still under immense pressure. Well, Dunford coming in and putting his hands out to block the would-be shooters. Not sure of the legality of that, but he gets away with it, and there's real chaos from the up and under. Eventually adjudged to have been knocked on by a Cardiff hand, and Durham remain camped in the Cardiff half.
Well, Cardiff going 2 steps forward, 2 steps back at the moment. It was a decent box clear there by Di Jones, a good chase as well. They won the ball back and then knocked it forward. Paul Brown couldn't quite get there. And I think given the way the set piece has gone, Durham would probably rather a scrum in this position than a line out. Again, interesting, Paul Brown just on the inside shoulder of the outside half. Nobody going down the blind side for Durham here on that narrow channel.
Well, look at him. Just can't see him at the moment. He's to the left of the pole in the shot. Great angle on the scrum there, but right there at the back of the shot, Paul Brown is literally twitching with anticipation, looking to get his hands on this ball. Whether Nicholson will use him, the replacement fly half, it's another question. He said Max Pepper, fuel in his boots out wide, but Paul Brown with a nose for the line. 6 tries already this season. And that's Craven summed right up there. Always going for the quick tap, always looking to sneak.
You can sneak 1 or 2 meters, not 5 or 6 though.
Got to try it, haven't you? Got to try it.
Interesting, they've gone for the touchline again, having a bit of a torrid time at the line out when the scrum's going well. Having won the penalty at the scrum, I wondered whether or not they might have gone back to back.
Ben Roberts leaping early. And a free kick, and Durham going. Oh, big heavy carry, takes play to just shy of the 5 metre line. Can Durham get it through the hands a few times? Can Durham ask the question to the Cardiff defence? They're 2 metres shy. Craven at the bottom of the breakdown, the onus is on the pack. They pick and they continue to go. They look like they've squirmed across the line. And there it is, the opening try right under the sticks. And Ewan Murphy's the man who breaks the deadlock.
Well, Ewan Murphy touched it down, but what about those heavy carries in the build-up? Well, these are going to be the last few, but before that, the way they revved the engines in close and just won those collisions, won those contacts, and we just saw it there on a more micro scale. Ewan Murphy, such a strong ball carrier, whether it's a blindside flanker, whether it's at second row, loves to get to the cold face. Second try of the season. 26 minutes in, finally the deadlock's broken.
And the relatively simple conversion negotiated means that it is the Palatinate of Durham leading the Red of Cardiff 7 points to 0, 26.5 minutes played. And finally, some points on the board and some highlights to show at half time.
When you're ready.
We're seeing the final nails there. But really, it was the big, heavy carries. It was the leg drive that drove them through the initial challenges. There were 2 men hits, but they weren't enough to stop Durham. Just unlike that tackle, which
stop you two.
very, very good, and it creates a bit of havoc as well on the next phase.
Exit.
And right away, Cardiff have a chance to launch an attack from a scrum.
Well, we've just seen a handling error in the contact zone there, but the way these Durham forwards like to get their hands on the ball and win the collision, they just run in at top speed. So difficult to stop them getting gain line, and that's the first time we've really seen them get the go forward. Cardiff had tried to play a similar game before the players went off, and Durham were winning those collisions defensively.
Do you have another go at that, Dave?
No, I think I just about got there.
Fine! Set!
A chance for Cardiff to respond, and with a steady scrum. Craven looked to be in there tinkering prematurely, and he's gotten away with it. Nope, he hasn't. Nothing escapes the watchful eye of Nikki O'Donnell and her officials. A long, shrill blast of the whistle. Penalty to Cardiff and a chance to nudge into that corner deep into the 22. They've had no problems themselves with the line out, and a really good opportunity to respond immediately.
Well, they've got away with one there and won the penalty, but I think at scrum time, Ben Chapman has just got to get his heel on it, and that ball's got to go backwards because it's getting stuck in the channels. Durham are turning the screw, and they are having a torrid time in the set scrum.
Wait for the arm, gents.
The smooth sailing continues in the skies through Ben Roberts. But Durham form a nice wedge to stop the forward momentum. They've really disrupted. Oh, it's a horrible splintering of Palatinate and Red, and if Cardiff don't get this to the floor, but they do in Ramage carries now. Meters desperately hard to come by, but Cardiff carrying in a wedge.
Let it come. Good work, all day.
Blacks.
They carry a little further away from the breakdown this time. Good leg drive takes them through the 5 metre. Very, very tight. Very patient from Cardiff.
I'll stand still.
A bit more width on it this time. They burst through the middle and across the line. And it's Captain Ramage with a comeback try.
Love that delivery there. You had Ben Chapman in at acting scrum half, Di Jones at first receiver, and Marcus Ramage burst onto the scene in BUCS Super Rugby as a winger. Great to see him back in the red jersey, outside centre, captain leader, lovely line as well. Just catching a soft shoulder there. It was Max Pepper defending in midfield, caught flat on his heels. And a lethal finisher like Ramage will eat that up all day. Look at that delivery there from the scrum half. Di Jones, lovely ball off the left hand.
There's a lot to love about that try. Really patiently set up by the forwards. Di Jones didn't panic. And then when it was time to go wide, he picked the right passer. Flat fizz into the hands of Ramage and setting up a nice simple conversion. And we're sevens with 30 gone.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a big Di Jones fan. I mean, this ball here, but just his delivery all night, all season has been absolutely brilliant. Love watching him play.
Slight juggle on the reception and then gets folded up. Got himself into a real pickle there and has done remarkably well to retain possession, although Durham have now turned it over. Durham seeking width. Go out the back this time, trying to keep the ball alive. Again to the boot, it's pretty aimless, and Hayden sensibly calling for the mark and takes the sting out of things. Now, that's real good play from Hayden. It was a messy reception from the kickoff. Cardiff had put themselves under pressure immediately. No need to be throwing the ball around or going quickly. They just sort of take the blood pressure down of both sides. And that is a monstrous kick. Slight juggle backwards from Nicholson.
Chase is good. Keep moving, keep moving.
And do you let it bounce in these conditions? Well, Elliot Hayden does, and it looks like he might get caught, and he knocks on under the pressure. Paul Brown, the second man in, and the chase rewarded.
Yeah, seen it.
Hayden having done so well by collecting the mark, pumping it long, allowed the ball to bounce and then just got himself into all sorts there.
Yeah, it was a really good kick, and just as it had left the toe, the wind picked up again. It was swirling round and Hayden was sort of stuck between two minds. Did well initially, but even if he hadn't dropped it, he was running himself down in a bit of a cul-de-sac. It was a great chase from Durham. Take it back a minute or so though, just before the aimless kick went into the breadbasket of Hayden. Ed Dunford did well to just shut off the attack and put a bit of doubt in the mind of Durham as they were spreading it out to the right hand side. They've not got the ball wide particularly well so far, Durham, and if they can find a way to get it there, I think there is space around the outside of Cardiff, but at the moment they're defending the middle well.
Well, interestingly, Elliot Hayden is defending at 10, and Ed Dunford has moved to the fullback position.
Historically has played rugby at 15, played for Wales under 18s as a fullback in the same team as Lewis Rees-Zammit and Johan Lloyd.
Well, Cardiff containing the Durham scrum a lot better now, but still a decent platform to release Paul Brown, who bursts through the hole powerfully, dragged down by the ankle. Still Durham come, another zippy carry off a fizzer of a pass. Durham finding their rhythm, looking fluid. Jag back inside. The Cardiff blitz forcing Durham back towards the breakdown. You see the jerseys radiate towards the breakdown. You might just be able to guess that there's been a turnover there to Cardiff. Excellent defensive work, but the job isn't done yet. Di Jones needs to send this long and far, which he does. Wow, so well taken, that swirling wind. You just see how troublesome it is.
Move, Red. Good.
Oh, a heavy carry. Goodness me, the crowd love that here as Freddie Barnes gets sent.
You're on the wrong side. You've landed on the wrong side.
Fred on Fred, wasn't it? Davis on Barnes. Ouch.
7. Run away.
Oh, they've missed touch.
Stand still in front, Red.
Felix Gilbert
Good now.
took that one right in the channel. And what a clearance kick.
Well, we've seen some pretty average kicking, shall we say, in challenging conditions, but Felix Gilbert has just dished out on a tutorial on quite how to do it. Marvellous kick. And really, every kick to touch is a bit of a win for Cardiff because they're doing so well in competing for Durham's ball. They actually don't put a man up there.
Tackle!
Quite strangely, maybe Durham going quickly, and the other Ramage, Greg, spots an opportunity, poaches the ball and puts Cardiff on the front foot. Nowhere to go out wide, so they snake back in.
Good turnover.
Well, now Durham have pitched it.
Turnover after turnover, no one cherishing possession, and Max Pepper's after this one. Oh. Tell you what, some slightly larger geometry from the groundsman when painting the lines, and Max Pepper would have been onto that.
Well, it was a smart kick from the turnover as well, just as the wind has started to swirl. So that floodlight that they're currently underneath now, the rain is blowing in about 6 different directions. And then the line out goes to ground. It is absolute chaos, but it is chaos in Cardiff's defensive third, and that is not where they want it.
Well, Cardiff continue to invite pressure on themselves with little errors. So much of the second half of this first half has been played in their half, but still the most important thing is parity on the scoreboard, but another error puts them back under pressure. You just have to feel the more you invite pressure onto yourself with a team like Durham, as deadly as Durham, they may not have converted their opportunities so far, but eventually it's going to tell.
Well, if they're not converting their opportunities, the last thing you want to do is give them more.
Well, Durham, as we say that, have given the ball back to Cardiff. It goes back to the boot. Durham on the turn, Durham on the chase. Cardiff jerseys flooding forward. I don't know who's in the ascendancy anymore.
Good now. Move, Red. Stand still, 4. Stand still. Good now.
A low driven kick.
Wait.
Well, we're getting to the point where the forwards just stop running in the middle of the park, aren't we?
We can see the angle of trajectory that the kickers are choosing to try and get underneath this wind, and that is a smart kick. And Brown is fast, and Brown is on this. Bit of footwork. Can he collect? Sure he can! Paul Brown, smartest to react, and Paul Brown breaking his try-scoring duck. He hasn't had one since round 13. He's got one that takes the lead here at Hollow Drift.
Identification of space is absolutely massive. Durham haven't been able to get the ball out wide with the hands, so they took to the feet. Loads of space in behind there. We talk about Paul Brown being a flying machine. That's Marcus Ramage, who he beat for pace there. Traditionally one of the quickest in the league. Still had a bit of work to do. Put it on the toe. Kicked it into this ample dead ball line here at Hollow Drift. and still had to gather it and dot it down. Proper wingers try, and just before half time Durham take the lead again.
Paul Brown with the go-ahead try. This would be a hell of a kick to maximise it to a 7. Not quite there, and that'll be the last action of a first half that had a lot. A big pause halfway through meant that the game was halted at 0-0 after 20 minutes. Again, our wishes going to Patrick Bishop, who was sadly stretchered off, but in the second 20 we finally saw a bit of scoring. 2 tries to Durham, 1 to Cardiff, but the try right there at the very end from Paul Brown. Currently the difference as Durham lead Cardiff 12 points to 7.
Well, it was 0-0 going into that long break, and I'm glad we've seen that carry there, because it was Murphy who dotted down in the end, but the carries in the build-up absolutely exceptional. For what was largely, I'm not going to say a lethargic half, but a real arm wrestler back and forth. This was the first time we saw that Durham energy that we're used to. The forwards getting their hands on the ball, desperate to get over the gain line, hunting down the paint. And then Ewan Murphy got his second try of the season. That was the first try of the match, and it sort of sparked it into life, really. It's a lovely break there from Harry Craven. He's already got 10 tries this season. You wouldn't bet against him making that 11 by close of play today.
The word we used about Harry Craven in the build-up was live wire, and he has had some sparky moments. A break down the left-hand side, always looking for a quick tap, and he offers a lot of danger around the breakdown. A driver of the tempo, but his counterpart, Di Jones, was the man with a peach of a pass to find his captain, Marcus Rampaging Ramage, to burst through a gap that opened up under the sticks.
Yeah, something we didn't talk about at the time was the dummy line run by Tom Kilmartin as well. He took a few defenders out, created the soft shoulder for Ramage, but in these conditions, talked about the identification of space, but Paul Brown running into the wind and the driving rain. We'll have a good look at the touch here as well. Just acres of space. Ramage thought he had him covered. It was actually off the left peg. Lovely little triangle through ball, straight out of Pro Evo. And then he gathered it and dotted down. And in a tight game, we've had a couple of missed penalties. Durham have been in the ascendancy in terms of territory. I think Cardiff will be frustrated with the amount of ball that they've coughed up in their own half to give Durham the opportunities. I'd say 12-7 is probably about right, but Cardiff's certainly not out of this. But cast your eyes to the halfway line, Joe, in the driving rain that is as heavy as it's been all evening. Durham University cheer have just taken their spot, and fair dues, commitment, credit where it's due. They're about to put on a show for Hollow Drift.
Lovely. I love rugby.
Thunderstruck by AC/DC rings out round the hollow drift to welcome back Durham and Cardiff. And you couldn't say that the first half was that electrifying, but there is always hope that the direction of current can change and we could be treated to a higher class half, because there's a lot on the line for both these sides. Durham know that they can't really afford to allow themselves to drop any points. Exeter University chasing them hard, only 1 point behind in the league. And Cardiff will know that they need to start racking up the wins, especially in light of Leeds Beckett's bonus point victory earlier today over Northumbria.
Happy guys? Time is on.
Replacement fly half William Nicholson gets us underway and kicks some chaos into the Cardiff backfield before a monster hit. Control Alt deletes the Durham player.
Oh, Max Pepper's just been vaporised.
But Paul Brown, who ended the first half with a try, wants to start the second with 1-2.
We've got a head injury, boys. Just stop it. It'll be your scrum.
Play stopped for another head injury.
Yeah, it's a head.
But what a start by Durham. Cardiff didn't deal with the kickoff that well.
Yeah, okay, I've not seen it. Yeah, just for clarity, same as the last one, boys, it'll be your scrum. I'll just leave the ball where it's going to be.
It was Max Pepper who gobbled up the loose ball. Weave back inside. And then through the mist of red jerseys, a flying gorilla came and wiped him out. I don't know who it was, but it was like watching a typewriter fly across. Here we go.
Well, this is the kickoff, and look how well Max Pepper does here. Cardiff don't deal with it. He just steals in, wins that battle, and then just gets ironed out. It was a great shot chasing back. Ben Chapman, the hooker, I think. And then that creates a bit of space for Paul Brown. That was a lovely pickup off the toes, and that pass by Ollie Walker. Look at Brown here.
Fabulous feet from Brown. Leaving Gilbert clutching it air. And then another head injury in the similar part of the field to the one we saw in the first half that saw the premature exit of Patrick Bishop. Brings the game to another halt. We had a shortened half-time break due to the significant stoppage that we had in the first half, and it looks like we might be having the same now.
And he sat up, which is a good start.
Keep on, mate. Keep on. Cheers for that. Jason saw it.
Reassuring to see him up, talking, mobile, but no doubt due to see the rest of the game on the sideline, or at least with a thorough examination. Again, no rush to hurry him off the field. Been a bit of a bone of contention of late in terms of the way that some head injuries have been dealt with. There was an incident in the England Italy under-20 match recently, and then the Six Nations, in fact. But all the very best precautions and time being afforded to the players out here tonight.
The coaches have made the call, lads.
So that'll be the last we'll see of Elliot Hayden. You heard Nicky O'Donnell, our referee, say that the coaches have made the call. The decision's been made. And Cam Scott, wearing 22, will come onto the left wing. We've seen him primarily at centre this season. Very hard hitting, very direct carrying centre. He's going to have his work cut out, marking a Paul Brown who's in the mood.
If you want to go quickly, play from the 8.
And eventually Durham get going on the tap. Jersey's flooding around the corner, a crucial hit on Joe Murphy. Takes 3 men to drag down the next Durham carrier. Players lining up, but the defence is holding strong. They rumble forward though, more and more jerseys piling in to drive across the line.
I have no sight of it, I have it up.
But held up.
Penalty advantage. 9 offside. Okay. Cheers. Okay. 9 offside.
Offside though, we won't see a goal line dropout. Well, you'll have to forgive me, as is customary in any BUCS Super Rugby game, it seems. Players have switched jerseys, and actually Joe Murphy is Marin Hoos.
Well, Marin Hoos is in that scrum cap that I think used to be orange, but is now pink. It is so weather beaten. But here come Durham again. Oh, it's gone to ground early too.
Well, sacked early by Cardiff, but illegally so. Durham with the penalty advantage. We've seen them kick it away an awful lot, and they go to the boot again. That's more promising, and Brown struck already. Has he got there this time?
Locked on.
He doesn't look confident that he's grounded it, because he hasn't.
Pardon? No, they've
With
gone
a big
forwards,
smile.
it's been sacked. It must be immediate.
Really troublesome kick that got put in there. Dunford all out of position. If we're being honest,
Collapse.
Paul Brown spilt one there with the line begging.
It was too late. It must be immediate, boys. Okay, 5 is you again. 5 is you again.
The Durham's line out that was malfunctioning in the first half seems to have found its rhythm, and they go to the corner again, and they go to the sky, and they find
No, it's fine. It's the
their
same
dependable man. They're rolling, they're rampaging, they're scoring. Try number 3, and guess who? Fred Davis, try number 21 of the season.
He is inevitable, isn't he? But that was all off the back of a functioning set piece. His housemate, the old campaigner, Marin Hoyce, securing the ball. This time Cardiff couldn't sack it. And they went from 0 to 60 pretty quickly. No red bodies in the way. And that one of the easier ones he'll score this season, Fred Davis.
Well, by the looks of things, that was well on the way, with Henry Higginson with his hands on the ball, and then Davis has come and latched on right at the very end and burgled it from him. I would like to see that again and maybe challenge the captain's integrity.
What was that one, DC?
And the conversion is landed, and the main thing is that Durham have stretched out to a much more comfortable looking 12-point margin. There he is there. Higginson's on the way. He's going, he's gone.
And then Fred Davis comes up with the ball.
Miraculous.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the sub.
Old sticky-fingered Davis has thieved one from the back pocket of Henry Higginson.
Freddie the pickpocket Davis. I wonder if he'll get those kind of privileges at Bristol Bears.
Yeah.
Stand still in front. Stand
But
still.
he doesn't do that to Stephen Luatua.
Advancing. 8, you, and 4. Offside.
Penalty
advancing.
Cardiff though, and again, not
8
for the
and
first
4.
time. Durham not really dealing with the restart particularly well.
Well, it's been a major flaw in the defensive personalities of both sides tonight, is their inability to deal with the kickoff after they score. Both teams seem absolutely hell-bent on putting themselves under immediate pressure from the kickoff. And as we saw in the first half, this quarter of the field is particularly difficult to get out of. Certainly Cardiff struggled. The wind seems to be, should we say, more consistently blowing in one direction than other halves, and that is left to right, making it a bit of a coffin corner to exit.
I think it's really important that Cardiff get something from this, because they're not going to spend as much time in the red zone as Durham are. We've seen that not just throughout this match, but throughout this season. Oh, big shot.
Ben Roberts climbs highest again. Paul Brown with the shot, showing he can mix it in defence just like he can in attack. Big passage of play this for Cardiff, you feel. They want to come away with points, but instead they're turned over, and it could be Durham coming away with the bonus point try. It's going to be coast to coast if they can do it. The offloading sublime, they keep it alive, and it's going to be the replacement, William Nicholson, to score one of the most memorable tries of the season and raise the roof of Hollow Drift.
There's your bonus point. There is your bonus point. Less than a minute ago, I said this was a really important phase of play in the match, but I didn't realise how important and who for. After the first half, we wondered whether or not Durham could get a bonus point here. They've scored 2 tries in 4 minutes, and that might just be the best try we see this season. from the collisions in the 22, the defensive collisions, to the turnover, to the execution of the offloads in these conditions on this pitch. We've got substitutes on as well. Nick Jonas, William Nicholson involved there. We criticised Durham for not being able to get the ball out wide and spurning opportunities in the first half. They did not spurn that opportunity. That was magnificent. Well, let's take a look at this now. I mean, Di Jones found himself in a bit of trouble the phase before, and then it was spilt by Freddie Barnes. But from this moment here, it was on. Turnover ball in these positions is absolute gold dust for a team like Durham, because they know they can execute. But then the interplay here, that lovely step inside by Jonas, the offload there where he picked out Ollie Walker, and then Nicholson running that trailing line. Fantastic finish from him, taking his opportunity, albeit not an opportunity that he'd have wanted in the circumstances, to fill the boots of Pat Bishop, but he had to come on and do a job, and that's exactly what he's done. What a score.
Breathless stuff from the league leaders, and that's where they'll remain if they can see out the remainder of this game. They've got the bonus point. They're in pole position for the 4 win points. Consider that a serve volley return to the University of Exeter, who will be embroiled in their own varsity match against Loughborough in deepest, darkest Devon. The game's not up though. Cardiff won't lie down. This game's been flipped in 2 scores in almost as many minutes.
I think important for Cardiff now to just hit the reset button a little bit, because they've been shell-shocked by Durham, who've been absolutely lethal. Bear in mind what we spoke about at the top of the show. Durham yet to concede a try bonus here at Hollow Drift this season, so it's going to be difficult for Cardiff to score 3 more tries. But if they score 2 more and tighten up the defence, they could get a losing bonus point. When it's tight between them and Leeds Beckett for 8th and 9th, then 1 point here could be the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs, particularly with that Beckett game to come. So they've just coughed the ball up there, and they've conceded another line out, so they just need to hit the reset button here and go through some phases and play some proper rugby. And as I say that, they've coughed it up again.
And well, that is an absolutely fabulous cover tackle. William Nicholson was pinning his ears back again to make it a brace, but the desperate cover tackle forced him almost into touch. Durham have recycled, and they continue to batter relentlessly against the red door. Wonderful variation being demonstrated, tips from the forwards. It's an all-court display now from the league leaders.
Tackle!
Tips, whip, muscular stuff, plays out the back.
Off it now, off it now.
Cardiff holding resolute. They know that they have to try and stem the flow.
Tackle!
Again, they do well. The discipline strong as well. No penalty advantage at the moment. More width on it. Questions asked in the one-on-one challenge. Pepper stretching. Pepper scoring.
Well, that all came from Cardiff coughing it up in midfield. It was nearly a second try in quick succession for William Nicholson, but in the red zone, Durham just so difficult to dislodge. This really good work from Max Pepper though. Cover tackle there from Catlane, got so close, but just that extra reach there from Pepper. 4 tries in 2 games. He's not had a lot of opportunities, but that's 1 shot fired, 1 try for the left winger, and it's becoming a bit processional here for Durham.
William Nicholson. looks to maximise that score. And he sends another beautifully struck conversion, headed for the uprights, but just leaking to the right hand side, and he won't add another 2. We thought he was going to add another 5 for a moment. The cover defence really was so impressive, but there was only so much they could take. This was great strength from a man who is really in the mood at home right now. 4 tries in 2 games now for the left wing.
And lo and behold, Durham have copped it up from the restart again.
Well, the rules are at Hollow Drift tonight are if you score a try, you have to give possession back immediately to the opposition. So Durham playing by the rules, as have both sides. That looked like a big shot, bit high as well, but play rolls on. Another ball fizzed across the front perilously by Di Jones. He's trying to spark a bit of life into his team. Pressure on the attempted clearance from Craven.
Ewan Murphy did really well there, banged the shot in, ripped the ball and turned it over. And that's gone forward in the end off Paul Brown after the kick wasn't great from Craven, but it's fantastic work from Ewan Murphy. He is tough old boy in the middle of the park for Durham.
Yeah. You stood still, so
Well,
we can manage that.
it was the fizz pass from Jones that set up the try for Marcus Ramage in the first half, and they're real defence unlockers, but given the conditions, given the defensive pressure from Durham, it does ask a huge amount of the man receiving it, and we're seeing a few knock-ons in those challenges, some rips with the ball not completely secure. And penalty advantage.
Jack Reed putting the shot in there. Well, he put that shot in. Something we didn't mention before the Pepper try was the lovely pass to put Pepper on the outside from Jack Reed. Of course, we've become accustomed to seeing Sol Hyde in that 12 jersey for Durham. Jack Reed having an excellent game.
Well, Jack Reed picked up a try at Clanramley. Back in November. Well, he hasn't picked up a try yet. He's doing a pretty decent job in the centres tonight. Spilt forward in the line-out by Durham. Cardiff, goodness me. The hits just keep raining in from Durham. They're so hungry. Flying out of the line. Some ambitious offloading play from Cardiff.
It was narrow, but Cardiff had a 4-on-3 there.
Just a scrum for the knock-on. Cheers, mate.
It was all just a bit too frantic, which of course happens when you're chasing the game. But Gwilym Evans has come on into the back row for Cardiff as well. He's a try threat. He's got 5 this year. Started at open side last week. I think that's where he's packing down in this scrum as well, wearing number 20.
And as prime pieces of attacking real estate go, doesn't get too much better than this. Nice big blind side. Cam Scott lined up directly behind. It's got a stumble from Di Jones, who goes for that killer pass again. And Ramage latches onto it just as he did in the first half. He's just shy, then gets picked up and dumped 1 metre short. Cardiff need composure. They need the right pass, but it's picked off by Craven. Ah, heartbreak for Cardiff, just with the line begging. But they win the penalty. Craven was the one who snaffled it and took Durham beyond their 5 metre, but a penalty, not releasing. And Cardiff with another bite at the cherry.
Well, they've given away the penalty there, Durham, but what I love about the way they play is they turn the ball over in their own 22 and straight away they're looking up and thinking, can we score? Can we get field position? Can we do something out of the ordinary? And the way they react off that turnover ball is a joy.
Well, I guess 24 points up, you've got a bit of a cushion
Got to have a look, haven't you?
that, Dave.
Got to have a look.
Here we go.
Out.
Cardiff still seeking that try to get themselves back into this psychologically and in terms of pressure on the scoreboard. It's been all Durham in this second half. No points for the Welshmen in red as numbers, cavalry comes pouring in to try and propel this drive across the line.
Apologies, I've lost sight of it. Taken in by red, purple scrub. I know.
Joe Murphy was an absolute giant then.
It's a curse of the referee.
Watch out for him in that grey scrum cap, just wading through, being a nuisance, immensely strong.
20.
Him and Marin in the engine room. It's the 12th time this season they've packed down next to each other.
Let's go.
Yes, you mentioned the spine of the team being so consistent for Durham. That second row engine room, and it really is an engine room,
Set.
of Joe Murphy and Marin Hughes, Freddie Davis in the hooker position, Jack Hill at 8, Craven at 9. You know, all these key positions if you're picking fantasy players. Those are the positions you want to populate with your best, your most dependable, and the ones who seem to always have a performance in them. So to be blessed with their fitness, with their form for the duration of the season. We're up at round 16, remember?
Red 7. Yeah. 7. Sub.
It's definitely played a major factor. Few replacements coming on now. Nathan Bislam coming on for Cardiff, wearing number 19, the former Saracen.
Wait.
And the competition in the air seems to have dissipated from Cardiff, but the competition and opportunity for Durham to run and flow the ball through the hands certainly hasn't waned, but an errant pass sliding forward.
Well, news from Bath, and Cardiff Met have beaten Bath 40-24. So 5 points in the bag for the team from King Coyd as they're still chasing the top 3. It's between them and Loughborough. And Cardiff Met have been frustrated to lose their undefeated home record against Swansea and lose a bit of momentum in that chase for the top 3. But also, that's good news for Cardiff as well. Cardiff, Swansea, Leeds, Beckett, Hartbury, Bath, they're all chasing 5th to 8th spot. So a bonus point, a try bonus, but not a losing bonus for Bath. So they gain another point. As Durham with another penalty at scrum time.
Too long into floor. 17.
Well, good news for Cardiff though. With Bath going down, did they get bonus points?
Try bonus, but not a losing bonus. 24-40 full time.
Well, Cardiff will really seek to get another point, at least from this game. Bath within their sights in the table, in that sort of shakedown for the lower seeded sides of the playoffs. Before this evening, only 7 points separate 5th from 8th, with games in hand playing a big role. And Durham are liquid at the moment, finding room around the 13 corner with relative ease at the moment. Cardiff unable to pick the out the back runners, and the variety now coming with the picks and goes, targeting the fridge. Another hard line from Jack Reed. He's been prominent in this second half, and a chasm opens for Craven. He laps it up. He gets his try. Durham are home and hosed, and Cardiff are chasing shadows.
Well, he doesn't need an invitation. but he had so much there. It was a written invitation and he had time to RSVP. It was a heavy carry from Jack Reed. Acres of space for one of the most deadly finishers in the league. 11th try of the season. Great bit of awareness, quick ball. Look at that space there. In fact, there was a great clear out that took out the final Cardiff defender. I think it was Freddie Davis having a bit of needle afterwards as well, but too easy. Try number 6 for Durham, try number 11 of the season for Craven. And I think this is all over bar the shouting.
The extras added by Nicholson. Durham lead Cardiff 38 points to 7. And goodness me, this feels like a long 16 minutes left of this contest for the men from Wales.
Do you want some news from the Al Pass Arena?
Give me news from the Al Pass Arena.
Tom Zuger has scored for Swansea and they lead Hartpury 18 points to 7.
Well, Swansea, very much a team on the rise, a real demonstration of a team that has impressed themselves upon the league since being promoted. A few doubts, in fact, on whether they would be promoted back in the day. They had to beat Nottingham Trent in the playoff. They did that, and they are on some kind of roll at the moment. Victory at Kincoid against Cardiff Met last week. And are they eyeing up an even bigger scalp? The 3 times BUCS Cup champions Hartpury.
I think the key for Swansea is trying to finish 5th or 6th, because if you finish 5th or 6th, you're going to play Cardiff Met or Loughborough away, aren't you? So they've already beaten Cardiff Met at Kincoid, albeit in those treacherous conditions, but up at Loughborough on a 4G, on a dry day, anybody's game. What you don't want to do is finish 7th or 8th and have to travel here to Hollow Drift or down to Topsham.
No one wants to go to Topsham.
I'm not even sure Exeter want to go to Topsham.
I think they like it. I think they like it there, Dave. Of course, Exeter playing their match at Sandy Park this evening. Another big match in BUCS Super Rugby. Sellout, in fact, at Sandy Park for the arrival of Loughborough. Try and get you a score update for that if you're keen on hearing how the second team are doing. Durham are offside there. A chip through. Chasers in pursuit.
We're coming back. Yeah,
but too much.
8 changing binds. 8 binds.
So Cardiff will want to come away with something here. They've had their fair share of territory. They've had their fair share of possession.
Lads, once you're anchored in, don't
So their
change that
attacking
inside
tools
arm, okay?
have been considerably blunter than the razor-sharp edges that Durham have shown in the second half.
Update from Sandy Park. Exeter 12-7 ahead. They went 12-0 up. Loughborough have just scored. 33 minutes gone there. 12-7 at Sandy Park.
Yeah, send them on, mate. Send them on.
It's like having a human vidi printer next to me. If you're a lot younger than us, then you'll have to Google what a vidi printer is. But if you're parents, then you probably know what it is. Braden Barrett is making a comeback in the 20 jersey. He's joined by Hamish Murray. He's joining his brother Joe out there on the field for Durham.
Tackle! Ball is here.
And they are straight into defensive mode. Just penalty after penalty being given away now by Durham. Surely
One is fine, 14 must roll.
a chat and more than a warning is impending.
Interestingly, is that Elliot Hayden back on for Cardiff, wearing number 15 after he had that knock earlier? Good to see that he's back firing fit again.
Fred, discipline. Discipline, boys.
Well, Fred Davis being reminded of the need for discipline, with Durham manacled down in this corner.
Wait.
Variation in the play, pops from the top and don't read it well, but opportunity opens up on the inside as Cardiff shirk the initial challenge. This is what Cardiff need, bit of front foot ball, momentum, they dart through the middle, a metre shy.
Line, hands and feet.
Do the first point to the half back and they aim for the post, they can't score there anymore. They nozzle low beyond the post and they get there. Looks like it was the replacement 17, James Pollard. Yes, it was. The man nicknamed Milkshake brings a try to the yard.
You've got just over 10.
Well, I think that is sweet relief for Cardiff because they've had a few opportunities, whether it's been from penalties, line-out scrums in the 22. Very often they've coughed up the ball. Sometimes they've coughed up the ball and it's resulted in Durham going the length of the field and adding 5 or 7 points of their own. But to go through those phases, and
I'm good, thank you very much,
68 minutes on our clock, I think the referee said there's about 10 minutes left to find that extra score and take them up to 12. Now, they've kind of just got to throw caution to the wind here. They're not going to win the game. They're not going to score 4 more tries. And if they do, they're certainly not going to stop Durham going over again. I think they've just got to try and grab an extra 2 and leave with something. Because, yes, Durham have been the better side. Yes, they've taken advantage of their opportunities. And, yes, they've shown why they are the league leaders. But Cardiff have certainly shown signs. And I think if they can leave with 1 point, then that'll be something to really cling on to as we go into the final couple of rounds of the season.
Scrum advantage.
Frustration.
And true to the holy sacrament that was signed before this match, with Cardiff scoring a try, they of course have to cough up possession to Durham. And Paul Brown wants a second. Paul Brown has shirked one, then dragged down. He's really looked lively, hunted for work, and Durham right where they want to be here. Nicholson, he's done well since he's come on, offloads to Murphy. Play slowed up before Durham move to the midfield. They can attack left, they can attack right, they go left. Max Pepper lurking within 10 on the left wing, but it doesn't get there.
No, he's regathered
Craven does his best to pick the lock down the left-hand side and make that a double for Mr. Pepper. 5 tries in 2 games at Hollow Drift.
About 7.
The tries coming easy for Durham now.
Well, yes, that was easy, but again, they've gone through the phases. Players just so keen to get their hands on the ball. I think there was a suggestion of a knock on there, but that was a brilliant clear out from Henry Higginson to create the space. Cardiff, their own worst enemy, though. They won the ball back from the restart, then just coughed it up. And if you give Durham turnover ball, they make scoring tries look so easy. I can't think of a time in this match where they've had the ball in the 22 and haven't come away with something. Certainly in the second half, they have been lethal. And now they're staring down the barrel of 50 points, which again I think would be harsh on Cardiff. 7 tries, goodness me.
Yeah, just hold for one of the subs. Who's going off? Yeah.
Won't have many easier finishes than that this season, will he?
Here he comes, lovely.
Certainly the easiest of his 5 in the last 7 days that he's scored on this ground. Well, it was 3 first half tries against Hartbury, and he scored 2 in this second half against Cardiff. Will he make it 2 hats in 2 weeks in 2 halves?
I think he needs to, because I don't know what the rules on fines are, but back in my day, hat-trick avoidance would have cost you.
Let's go, boys.
Well, let's hope he has deep pockets, so to speak.
We should probably start thinking about man of the match.
Yes, you should start thinking about man of the match, Dave. I'll give you 3 minutes to deliberate. You can propose your candidates, and then I'll pin you down to 1.
Okay.
Cardiff seeking another try to put them within 1 of coming away with a morsel, a scrap from this game that has really worn them down in the second half. 2 tries, a 4th will be a very welcome bonus point, and maybe one they'll be happy with to come away from this long journey up to the northeast of England. You must applaud the Durham defence. It has been hungry all night. They've rushed off the line, they've crowded the Cardiff attackers. Another prime example there. Just making life so unpleasant for the men in red on the ball. Until they pick their moment to dive in, clamp down on the ball, force a side entry in desperation to remove the jackler. And really, it's something that goes a little unheralded for Durham. Their breakdown work is deadly.
Lads, 1 and 2.
Right. Let me tell you who I've enjoyed from Cardiff, because it won't surprise you to know that the man of the match will be coming from Durham, but I think Marcus Ramage, great to see him back on the pitch, of course, getting on the score sheet in the first half. Greg Ramage as well was a real pest on the open side flank, and I love the delivery of Di Jones as he's done his best to keep them ticking over. For Durham, any number of players. Paul Brown, of course, scored, but I'm so impressed with him on the ball. Very, very strong. Max Pepper, another couple of tries. Harry Craven sniping around. I think William Nicholson has done very well in the absence of Patrick Bishop. Of course, the back row really working hard, but next stoppage, Joe, tell you my man of the match is.
Yeah, it's just a knock on. Knock on and regather.
Looks like it's the next stoppage, Dave. No, I'll give you to the next one. I'll give you to the next one. You can mull it over.
Oh, I've got him.
We've had some replacements come on. You need mentioning Oscar Stotts, Jacob Head to replace the captain and presumably Monty Royston in the number 1 jersey. And yeah, worth mentioning, Jacob Head very mobile around the field, a converted back row, a number of converted players in this Durham side actually. Ewan Murphy, formerly a centre, converted to back row, second row.
Hands on, balls away.
And Jack Reed, who plays 12, was originally a 7 when he played at Quins and England 18. So a lot of changing of profile of these Durham players, but they're slotting in very nicely.
Stand still, Red.
And they're slotting themselves even firmer into the championship box seats.
Well, the wind and the rain has just started lashing down again. I'm not sure who's going to want to talk to me post-match, but I'll head pitchside shortly, try and get a chat with Alex Key and the man of the match.
Go on then, who is it?
Tackler, good work. Thank you,
I am going
Thank
into the second row. And I'm going for Joe Murphy today. I think all of the engine room have been absolutely fantastic. I think Marin has been superb wearing number 4, but wearing number 5 in the Grey Scrum Cup, I think Joe Murphy has been a behemoth. Credit to Ben Roberts as well. I didn't mention him early on when Cardiff were disrupting the set piece. I think he was absolutely brilliant, but Joe Murphy today, his physicality, his carrying. Of course, the Durham scrum has gone very well. Second rowers don't often get the nod, so he is my man of the match today. And I'll be heading pitchside to try and get a chat to him.
So congratulations to Joe Murphy, who certainly I confused with Hamish Murray actually earlier on. This evening when the replacements are coming on, of course, his brother Ewan Murphy playing at 6. But it is Joe, man of the match this evening.
It is out. Yeah.
And Cardiff really looking a bedraggled force in attack now. Force to the boots. Somewhat bereft of ideas of how to break down this mighty Palatinate defence. They will sling it wide. They'll have another go. A show to the outside, a dart on the inside, but the door slammed shut.
He's used his feet.
Durham continuing to work so hard. A big shot there
Good decision, 18.
from Stott, who's just come on. And again, the boot, the only option. Well swept up by Nick Jonas.
Stand still. Good.
Wow, expertly taken on the dive. And then carried into more tackles. Alex Key said before the game in the build-up that successful teams are built on defence. You only have to point to the 7-try graphic that's above the 43 points that Durham have scored this evening to show you that they're an attacking force, but their defence has been almost impervious.
Yeah. Are you captain now, are you? Okay. Lads, where's the skipper? Boys, we've got 30 seconds left on the clock. We've got 2 players down, okay? So it's up to you. Do you want to call it now or do you want to wait and we'll play the scrum?
No, we'll play.
Yeah? You want the last 30 seconds? Yeah? Okay. Yeah? It'll be a red scrum when we start because they were in possession, okay?
Well, Nicky O'Donnell giving the captains the option.
It'll be red scrum, but we'll
Jack
let
Hill,
these two
who's
get dealt with first.
assumed
It'll be your
leadership
scrum,
in the
you're
absence
possession.
of Davis.
30 seconds. Your captains wanted to play. Yeah. Yeah.
And Marcus Ramage insisting on seeing out the last 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, mate.
Was Mark?
There's one, no, he's still
It's a
down
game
there.
that's seen a number of stoppages, none more so as significant as Patrick
Here we
Fish at the
go.
Durham 10.
Red scrum.
Saw a huge long break in play to see him tended to. But that will be the final stoppage because this is the last play of the game.
Fine. Set.
The rain is battering down as Cardiff have another roll of the dice to try and break down the Durham defence. Seatbelt tackle round the neck means it's advantage. Cardiff continue to press. The jerseys almost indecipherable from a long distance. The mud and the rain
Still advantage.
beginning to merge the jerseys into one. Cardiff keep coming.
Yeah, I'm good, don't worry.
Durham turnover here. They'll be
Leave the leg,
firing it
leave
left
the leg,
and they'll be
eight.
going the length of the field.
Okay.
Cardiff are so narrow at the moment.
High tackle. Calm down, calm down.
They do lose it, but they have advantage from the seatbelt tackle.
13, penalty only, just over the shoulder. Stay 10, boys.
Cardiff want something extra to take back with them. They might not take any match points, but they want to take 3 tries.
On the 5. Okay, 5 to you, Durham.
They're firmly in the hunt for the
Boys,
8th position,
discipline. We've had too many
the
penalties in
final
this area.
position in the table. And were Durham to win the league and Cardiff were to finish there, then they would face each other in the playoffs for the cup. So There is morally driven impetus behind the desire for one last try. Stolen by Durham. Knocked on the pickup. That'll signal the end of the game. And it is a 7-try performance from Durham. They defeat Cardiff. And they continue to grip the #1 spot at the top of the BUCS Super Rugby table. Cardiff go back to Wales with nothing. And it is Durham who take one more big stride forward towards securing back-to-back championships. They win 43 points to 14 at Hollow Drift. Well, this try wasn't awarded to Paul Brown, but from the penalty advantage that was being played, we saw the familiar sight of the Durham pack rumbling across the line, and that really signalled the opening of the floodgates. It was the captain, Fred Davis, who stole in for try number 21 of the season. Before the pick of the bunch came from their own 5-metre line. It was turnover ball which really typified the defensive efforts. Look at that glorious offload. One hand out the tackle from Nick Jonas. And it was up to William Nicholson to do the rest and finish off a sweeping move that got the people on their feet at Durham City Rugby Club. The hole just opening up, and it was this, the stuttering footwork and sliding the ball out one-handed to the supporting Ollie Walker, and Nicholson did the rest. And this is when the Palatinate tries began to rain in. Fabulous strength from Max Pepper. A man in a real try-scoring purple patch. A hat-trick last week against Hartbury. That was the first of 2 that he would score in the second half. And as the wind bellowed in the Palatinate cells of Durham, the Cardiff resolve began to crumble. That was Harry Craven, not even sniping, careering through the parting of the red defensive sea of Cardiff, but they didn't give up the ghost. You certainly can't fault the efforts and the resilience of this Cardiff team, who just kept on coming, but they weren't able to apply the finishing article until James Pollard, the replacement prop, nuzzled his way over. And as was very much a feature of the game, after scoring, Cardiff surrendered possession pretty promptly and gave Durham enough of an opportunity, enough of a shard of light down that blind side for Max Pepper to finish off the scoring and to hand Durham a handsome 43-14 victory over Cardiff. The man of the match was the Durham Luck, Joe Murphy. The winning coach is Alex Key, and the man on the ground is Dave Rogers.
Never be said that we don't bring you great rugby, come rain or shine. but it is usually come rain, not come shine, because it is howling it down here. But man of the match, Joe, massive effort from yourself and the engine room today. The BUCS still claim the plaudits for the tries, but that was another Durham victory built on the hard work of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long old season, 3 games left. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but we're trying to take it game by game. And, you know, in the first 10 minutes when your 10 goes down, it's really hard to motivate yourself. I mean, you can't really plan for that, but the boys really stuck in, really got going quite quickly. And like you said, the BUCS got the points today, and we just got the scrums and the line-outs. But
well, Kesey's just zipped his hood up, so I won't keep you for much longer. I'll let you get showered and dry. You're a few games away from going back-to-back. There's no such thing as an easy game, but scoring nearly 50 points against Cardiff here this evening, that is a massive step towards getting your hands on that trophy again.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, in the weather, you wouldn't think we'd be able to get that many points, but the boys are building week on week. I still don't think we've got to our peak yet, and we've got 2 more games to show what we've got. So.
What happens tonight?
I can't tell you that, Dave.
Hey, well played. Good luck for the rest of the season. Go get dry and enjoy it. Kesey, we'll bring you in. We'll take him out. He was the man of the match today, but it could have been any one of your forwards. That was another brilliant performance, 1 to 8.
Yeah, well, I thought 1 to 15, because losing our 10 has kind of been a bit like our season already. Bish has been so good for us this year, but we've had to be resilient, we've had to be tough, we've had a lot of things thrown at us all season, literally from September, both on and off the field, and I just love the way the boys battle in.
I saw a picture of him smiling. Obviously it's a head knock, so you'll have to look into that and what part he'll play for the rest of the season, but great to know that he's compos mentis and on the mend, however long that is.
100%, and he's such a good lad. But the guy who came in, great credit to him, he had a cracker, and our backs, I thought, looked really tasty at times.
What about that try where he went in behind us? You turned the ball over in the 22. Yeah. That was everything that this Durham team's about.
It is. It's something we're trying to grow. Our coaches, Si and TC, have been brilliant, and they've really brought that part of the game to us.
You said to us before the game that you've got a lot of respect for this Cardiff team and what they do, and this was a real hurdle to get over. Not only have you got over it, you've got over it in style. A couple more victories and you could go back to back.
2 games. Yeah, I think it means a lot to everyone, particularly to this squad. They're a very tight group and they're very strong together, so I think we'll dig in, and fingers crossed Exeter might lose to Loughborough as well.
It's 12-7 to Exeter last time we saw. Quick word on the wider club before I leave you go. We saw the women lift the National League trophy today. We saw the second team get a great victory over Cardiff in the playoffs, and now you've just done this in front of the crowds who came out to support you in the winds and rain as well. It's not just this first team, it's the wider club, the wider university rugby community. It's in a great place, isn't it?
It is at the moment. Our 4's won their league today, 5's won theirs last week, so, and the 3's about to go into a final, so yeah, club's in a real happy place, yeah.
And you're in a happy place tonight as well?
Yeah, might have a cheeky one, yeah. So,
hey,
yeah.
You deserve it. Go and get dry. Thank you very much for having a chat. Congratulations. Brilliant day for Durham, but Cardiff showing they're so close but still so far. They leave Hollowdrift empty-handed on what has been double delight for Durham. They're 2 victories away from lifting the BUCS Super Rugby trophy, following hot on the heels of the women, who are the Women's National League champions. Still rounds to come. Stick with us. It is the best league in the country. Where else would you rather be on a Wednesday? Until next Wednesday, goodbye.